Hey guys, Dave and Len here. We just played Avalon Hill's Monsters Menace America. This was a good one, actually. I think this is from 2005. What's different about this than your typical like Creature That Ate Sheboygan game or something, or Godzilla type game, is each player controls one monster plus one branch of the military, and then there's the National Guard there who both sides can deploy in certain cases, usually in their deployment phase. But the game, what goes on is you go around stomping things on the board, like mutation spaces, which gives you a mutation card, which gives your creature more powerful abilities and stuff, or you can stomp on like a military base. And what's cool about that is each person, when you're deploying your military forces, you can only deploy like 2 per turn plus 1 National Guard or something. So you got a pool of them on the table. And if you destroy someone else's military base by stomping on it, they have to give you one of your units. So that's one less unit that they can use during the game. So that works out. And what else do we have here? Can't remember. Infamy spaces. If you stomp on those, you get 2 infamy tokens. And each infamy token allows you to take 1 extra attack during an attack. And when you attack, there's 2 rounds of combat, and the monster always goes first. And you get 3 attacks if you're a monster, unless you have some infamy, and you can spend infamy to get an extra attack. I saved all mines for the end of the game. So at the end of the game, when all the stop markers are out, then finally your monsters are allowed to fight each other. And they first weigh in where they just take their current starting health, and they fight it out until one is dead. And then the one who survives gets the other side's weigh-in score added to his health, and then he can go fight any other monsters if it's greater than a 2-player game. We played a 2-player game, but this plays up to 4. But I thought it was kind of a clever game. It played really well 2 players, but 1 player is really difficult to play because there's so many forces you got to control and stuff. You go nuts trying to keep track of everything. At least with 2 players, you got the other guy who says, hey, you're not supposed to move that yet, or whatever. If it's just one person trying to control 2 monsters and 2 military branches plus the National Guard, that's too much for one person to keep track of. But yeah, the game's fun as hell. Only thing is the controlling of the militaries, I guess it's kind of unique that each monster gets to control 1 branch, but I can't help but wondering if the game would have been a little bit better if they didn't do that, and if it was just like a monster versus someone who controls all branches of the military, or something like, or make it like a up to an 8-person game, and each player can either control a monster or a military force. That might have been a tad bit better, but I would give this probably 7.5 as far as how much I liked it. Maybe it's between a 7.5 and 7.8 since it did have miniatures and stuff. But you liked the game, didn't you?
Yeah, I saw it as a 1 step above a Euro game or a beer and pretzels game, because at first I was a little confused over, okay, I can move certain military and the monster and blah, blah, blah. But after about 4 or 5 turns, I got the hang of it, and then discovered, after I stomped on all of the West Coast, I realized that, well, I had to move east to gain anything. It's a big, and Dave was on the East Coast gaining life levels left and right. And I think it should be, instead of deploying 1 branch of the military, you should be able to pick out whatever units you want. Because one thing I noticed is that Dave got lots of these tanks, and that kind of wore me down.
Well, you had the cruise missiles, though, and the cruise missiles in their own way are more powerful. The cruise missiles can do 3 damage, whereas a tank can only do 1, so...
But there were so many of them, and it seemed like he just...
Well, there's not so many. You have exactly, each military force has 8 units, so...
It just seemed like a lot.
Well, that's because I kept attacking you.
Yeah. I went for the Air Force because both the fighters and the cruise missiles had longer range, so I could deploy them at a distance. which I thought would be to my advantage, but it didn't end up.
Yeah.
It seemed like after a while I stopped picking the fighters and just concentrated on the cruise missiles.
Well, the cruise missiles are better than the fighters since they do 3 damage.
Yeah.
And they're hard to knock out too, because you need a 6 to knock out a cruise missile, whereas a fighter you need a 4. So yeah, cruise missiles are always a better choice, in my opinion.
Yeah. So now that I look at, I would pick the different strategy, and actually you have many options in this. So that's after you play it the first time, then you understand. Like I also would have probably done more mutations and more infamy.
The mutations are tough because I got a mutation which said that if my life points drop below my starting level, that they immediately go back up to the starting level. So it's really hard to kill you then, because my starting level was 11. So let's say I dropped down to 1 and went back to 11, then the next turn when they attack me, they'd have to do 11 damage to me during that turn. Otherwise, I would go back up to 11. So that almost makes you invulnerable in some ways.
And I had one where if you missed, you lost the life level. Of course, you had surplus of them. So it ended up that I was at near the end of the game racing to get to the East Coast to get some more life levels to stomp on that. If I got to Atlanta, I would have got 1D roll, which might have helped me.
And one good thing, since it's an Avalon Hill game, the map was mounted, which is nice.
Oh, they still mount them.
Yeah, well, this is from 2005. I think Avalon Hill technically exists. I don't know if they're putting on any current games or not.
Well, I was about to say that, Hasbro owns them. I don't know if they publish any more of them.
Yeah,
because I was thinking this is just a regular game, and you put the Avalon Hill logo on it just to, I don't know, attract more customers.
Yeah, it wasn't bad though. I mean, it appealed to both war gamers and regular board gamers too, so that's good. But yeah, I recommend it. You recommend it?
Yeah, but they need a kind of Toby piece. That'll just causes a massive damage to the nearest monster. So, all right.
All right, that's all we got for this week, guys. We'll have another game for you next week. Have a good evening.